while you're taking your inner saboteur test and exploring where on the scale are you, I will just do a quick introduction to what is our third session of the expert insights that we're so very much proud of. And this is delivered to you by ExEd Hub at Central European University, actually the OSUN ExEd Hub, where we focus on delivering professional development opportunities for leaders, aspiring change makers, for the underserved communities, and for anyone who needs support in getting the actual skills that they need to advance in their professional lives. And let me say that I'm very happy, or we're very happy for everyone joining us tonight. Like I said, the newcomers and the returnees. And as you probably know, today's session will focus on silencing our inner sabotagers and actually building resilience through positive intelligence. And this workshop will be delivered to you by very resilient and overall inspiring Dr. Lydia Wazir, who is our director here at OSUN ExEd Hub. But she's much more than that. She's also a leadership coach, a certified resilience trainer, and a consultant with over 20 years of experience across various sectors. And I think that at this point, the very best thing that I can do is actually pass the word to Lydia, who will guide us through today's session.
Wow, thank you, Maya. I've never been introduced before, so hearing all those great things about myself, really, that was nice. So welcome, everybody, and welcome to all your inner critics joining us as well. I hope after this session, they will be silenced. Let me just show you a little bit about myself. You do see my slides, right? I'm not just talking to myself. Okay, good. So I am a certified resilience trainer, and a fun fact about myself is that I've called my inner critic the dark, angry fire tiger, which is short for daft. And this is a little trick that I'm going to show you later. Like, if you call your inner critic a silly name, it reduces its power. So welcome, everyone, to the workshop on building resilience through positive intelligence. I'm going to show you how you can gradually find your true potential and how you can rediscover and unleash an even happier and more capable version of yourself, the true, magnificent you. And I'm going to change your life in just 1 hour. Are you ready? Awesome. But first, a little housekeeping. So while I'm talking and you have some questions, please be as participatory as possible. Raise your hands and we'll call on you. Also, I'm going to be asking you to put things in the chat. We'll be recording today, and this recording will be posted on our new YouTube channel, just so that you are aware. And I will be cutting out anything that makes me look bad. So in the end, it might all just be a welcome, and then there's nothing. If there's any technical issues, we'll be dealing with them as we go along. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. We'll answer them as we go along. All right. What we're going to be covering today, we're going to talk about your inner critic. Then I'm going to tell you what positive intelligence is all about, how to improve your positive intelligence. We're going to talk about tapping into your voice of reason. And then I'm going to show you some brain fitness techniques that you can do on a daily basis to strengthen your positive intelligence. All right, let's get started. I've got quite a bit of things to show you. Ready to meet my inner critic? This is the dark, angry fire tiger. He's really daft, isn't he? Can you just feel him judging me right now? And he takes up a lot of space in my head. I mean, look at him. Of course, he's judging all of you right now, too. We all know this voice in our head that constantly criticizes, belittles, and judges us and everything and everyone around us, right? So this voice has many names. This one is inner critic, the judge, the saboteur, and it can be really cruel and deeply damaging force that impacts our overall mental well-being. And that destructive voice in our head is never satisfied, can spoil anything we may achieve, no matter how impressive it is. And it's that voice in your head that says, you're not good enough. You can't do it. You're ugly. Nobody really likes you. You're a fraud. And isn't it depressing to listen to your inner critic? So when your inner critic runs the show in your head.
There you go.
There you go. Your relationships, work, and self-esteem plummet. It seems like you never do anything right, no matter how much you try. And so you end up feeling crappy, anxious, burnt out. But can you believe that your inner critic actually wants you to be happy? Look at him. Look how happy he wants me to be. So your inner critic actually developed to protect you from harm by helping you to adapt to the world around you and to meet its requirements, whatever they might be. It thinks it's making you acceptable to others by criticizing and correcting your behavior before other people can criticize or reject you. In this way, it thinks it can earn love and protection for you. All right, we're having some audio. Can you please mute yourselves? Thank you. So in this way, it thinks it can earn love and protection for you, as well as save you shame and hurt. So the requirements that make you acceptable to others can come from your parents, caregivers, teachers, friends, media, your past hurts, society, all of these traditions and beliefs that were instilled in you while you were growing up. So if your family taught you that it's inappropriate to show your emotions, your inner critic will criticize you when you do so. And if your boss or colleague put you down, your inner critic will push you to work harder. Or you can just unleash your inner critic on them, right? That would shut them up real fast, right? So burn those bridges, burn them all. But no, we don't want to do that. We're going to show you how to shut down your inner critic. Now, you might be asking a very important question right now, which is, sorry, I just got muted. Am I unmuted again? All right, I just got muted. No, you might be asking yourself a very important question right now, which is, but aren't negative emotions actually good for you? Isn't the inner critic helpful for you by pushing you and beating you up and all that? Isn't that good for your performance? And to answer that, let me ask a separate question first. Is pain ever good for you? Is it good to feel pain? Anyone? Is it good to feel pain? What do you think?
Of course, sometimes, because then you know if your hand's on a hot fire.
Absolutely. Thank you, Catherine. The answer is, of course it is. If you put your hand on a hot stove and if you don't feel pain, you're not going to react accordingly and you'll burn your hand right off, right? Well, not off, but badly. So feeling pain is really good for you. The question is, how long would it be good for you to feel the pain before you removed your hand from the hot stove?
A split second would be enough for me.
Again, perfect answer, Catherine. So that's all you need in order to learn from the pain, a split second. So just how long is it good to feel anger and shame and guilt and disappointment when something goes wrong? So if feeling physical pain, you learn from it after a split second. What do you think? How long does it take for you to learn from other experiences that are painful?
Can I say?
Yes, go ahead.
Too much pain, especially if it is emotional or mental, it is not good. It is not good. It affects our body, our mental health, to perform anything. It also affect the professional thing. So too much is like, and it's like only little bit is fine.
Yes, excellent
Everything about
answer.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Thank you very much. That is it. The answer is, of course, it is good to feel pain. If you didn't feel any of those negative emotions, you will keep doing that thing and not improve. Sorry, there's music going on. Need someone mute, thank you. So if you didn't feel any of those negative emotions, you'll keep doing the thing and not improve anything. But how long is it good to feel that pain after failure? How long is it good to feel shame? The answer is just long enough for you to pay attention and take corrective action, and that is a split second. Very good. So if you stay in that negative emotion for more than a split second, you're being hijacked by your saboteurs. And it's going to mess with your performance. And that's true with all saboteurs. Anytime you're in a negative emotion for more than a few seconds, you are being hijacked by a part of your brain that is not serving you, because your path to highest performance is through positive energy. You have to call out your inner critic by basically saying, actually, beating the crap out of me for the 5th time over that mistake I did yesterday is not very helpful. Thank you very much. I got the message. It's no longer serving me. You are now sabotaging me. Oh, look at my inner critic napping. Isn't he cute? You know that uncertainty and change scare your inner critic, and that's what awakens it. So all it wants is to ensure you're loved and accepted and feel safe and comfortable. It may have served you well as a child, but how well does it serve you now? So let's learn how to shut down that inner critic when it's no longer serving you positively. So how did I get mine to take a nap? First, you need to distance yourself from your inner critic. You are not that voice in your head. And second, you need to anticipate when it comes up and prepare your response and reactions. So let's look at how you can learn to tame your inner critic when you identify it and then anticipate when it will show up. So you've met my inner critic. Now it's your turn. The first thing is to realize that you are not your inner critic. That the personality that you developed to protect yourself is just a tiny part of who you are. It's not all of you. Most of us have confused our identities with our coping mechanisms, which limits life to your inner critic's rules. And now that you're aware of your inner critic, you're in the perfect position to lessen its power. When you distinguish who you are from your inner critic, you can begin to live life on your terms. So what I'd like you to do is to please take out a piece of paper, and I'd like you to draw your inner critic and give it a name, just like I did. You remember the name of my inner critic?
Daft,
Yes.
dark, angry, fire tiger.
Catherine, 100 points. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to come up with your own. And I would love it if you could share some of yours and either show us your drawings or write them in the chat. I'm going to stop sharing my slides for a second so that I can see your drawings when you're ready.
Lydia?
Know how bad I am at drawing, right?
That's okay. I'm also on a level of a 5-year-old child when it comes to drawing.
Just
about
give it
like 2-year-old.
give it a silly name. Someone I know has given his the name CPO. That stands for Chief Pooping Officer. It poops all over your brain. Another one is Chief Pessimist Officer. chief perfectionist.
I've just named mine 10-inch nails.
10-inch nails. Nice.
I can do 9-inch nails, one better.
By the way, we have great turnout, 38 participants with us from all over the world. It's so good to have you all with us.
So now we're about to meet a lot of international inner critics here. Who would like to show us their drawing of their inner critic? Wait, someone wrote in the chat. Hold on.
Ugly, pessimist, stupid, UPS. Another one, Deepti, I hope I pronounced it correctly, said dove.
Yeah, it's Dipti. Perfect.
What does DOVE stand for?
Dove stands for I can't say innocent, but it's like very pure soul. And then it got so much, it want to confine so much. Just the, the harshness of the word is like too much to handle. It's like
see.
a dove, but then
It needs to be protected from the harshness of the world.
yeah.
Mhm.
And then Maria said Medusa.
Well, that's a good one. With all those ugly heads. Let's see it. That's me in the morning before I comb my hair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's good.
Like me as well. And it's also when it looks at me, I want to freeze. Like it makes me freeze and not be able to move.
Yes, good point. Our inner critics makes us freeze, not able to move, not able to function, gets you stuck. So we have time for one more share. Who dares to show their drawing?
Farida.
I'm tempted to show it, but I'm very terrible at drawings.
Don't be shy.
We
Okay,
won't
I'll
judge
just show
you.
it. It's just like an arm, by the way.
An
Don't laugh,
arm.
please. Like an arm, and it's just a ARM, so another rubbish mess. So it's
Another
just-
rubbish mess. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
And that arm is probably hitting you on the head every day. Stop
Yeah.
that. Don't do that. Good one.
Thank you.
Thank you all for participating in this exercise. It's really good to meet your own inner critics, name them, and then separate from them. I'm going to share my slides again. Am I sharing my slides again? Okay. All right, now that you're familiar with your inner critic, let's look at the concept of positive intelligence. Your mind is your best friend, but it is also your worst enemy. And the truth is that for much of the time, we self-sabotage by holding on to thoughts that don't serve us or actually act against us. And these thoughts are stories we tell ourselves which are untrue and without foundation. Now, I'm going to read some statements out to you, and I want you to count how many times you say yes to them, or how many you say yes to them. You beat yourself up for past mistakes or current shortcomings. You focus on what is wrong with others rather than appreciate them. You get into inferior, superior comparisons. You have a binary view. Outcomes are either good or bad. You get easily distracted and get too scattered. You stay busy juggling many different tasks and plans. You are anxious with chronic doubts about self and others. You escape from unpleasant feelings very quickly. You seek constant new stimulation. You're restless. You have a strong energy and need to control and take charge. You are critical of self and others. If criticized or misunderstood, you tend to withdraw, pout, and sulk. You can be dramatic and temperamental. So you get the point, right? I could go on to list all 18, but actually, if you even said yes to one of them, you are self-sabotaging. How many did you say yes to? If it makes you feel better, I said yes to all of them, all of them. Can't be worse than that.
I said yes to 5.
All right, so these are self-limiting beliefs that your inner critic tells you. And these thoughts are not you. They're just negative thought patterns that destroy your quality of life. So let's see how we can shut them down. So the first step is to find out your PQ score and your saboteurs. Did you get a chance at the beginning while we were waiting to do those assessments? If not, don't worry, you can either do them now and not listen to me, or wait a little bit after the workshop and do them quickly. So a higher PQ leads to higher salary, greater success at work, marriage, health, sociability, friendship, and creativity. Isn't that awesome? The higher positive intelligence quotient can make you happier across the board. You want to see my score? So that you don't feel too bad about your scores, here's my score from last week. 91% of the population scores better than you. So my inner critic had a good laugh at that one. But it's true. Just because I'm holding a workshop about positive intelligence doesn't mean I have to follow my own advice, right? Mm-hmm. But what does that mean? What is that score? And can you actually change it? I sure hope so. So the answer is yes, you can. And I'm going to show you in a minute how you can train your brain to identify the sabotaging thoughts and then the exercises you can do to strengthen your positive intelligence. So what this score means is that I'm not doing my exercises, right? So 71% of the time, my brain is not serving me in a positive way. You want to meet my saboteurs? Here you go. So in addition to the inner critic or the judge, there are 9 other saboteurs like the controller, the stickler, and the victim, and every one of us has the master judge saboteur in addition to at least one of these gang of 9. Gets kind of crowded in your head, right? So here's how I scored. Look at my top saboteurs. Aren't they a lovely team? And for you hyperachievers out there, if you're scoring high on these saboteurs, let's just say that's not a good thing. Now, even in a perfectly happy childhood, you still develop a couple of these saboteurs as a coping mechanism. The problem is that these saboteurs become the invisible masters in your head. They pretend they are you, but they are not you. And that's how you forget who you really are. The war is constantly raging inside your head between your saboteurs and your original true self, whom Shamin calls the sage. And Shamin is a Stanford professor who developed these assessments and who wrote the best-selling book, Positive Intelligence, one of the books I recommend at the very end in the resources. So these are based on entirely different regions of your brain. The survival brain region and its saboteurs are neurochemically wired to feel stress and unhappiness. They just can't help themselves. So if you want to feel consistently happier, you have to learn to strengthen your sage, your inner voice of reason, and weaken your saboteurs. Now, before you're able to weaken these saboteurs, you need to be able to catch them in your head red-handed. Imagine that you're in the middle of an important project and have just learned that you've completely failed the midway milestones. Here's how some of your saboteurs in your head might be talking. The judge will say, oh, I'm a loser. What a stupid loser. Everything is going to come crashing down now. The controller will say, but my way is always the right way. Someone else must have screwed up. The victim will say, oh, they've done it again. They've done it to me again. This always happens to me. They want me to fail. The stickler is a perfectionist. She will say, I knew it. This report should have been longer, shorter, included more facts, data, and research, you name it. My favorite, the avoider. Oh, there's plenty of time. I'll just watch Netflix for the next 10 hours to numb my brain. I never do that. And so on. So with all the other 6 saboteurs. Now, once you catch a saboteur in your mind, what you want to do is just label that thought as saboteur and then let it go instead of trusting it or pursuing that thought. Let's see how we can do that. So now you know about your inner critic and you know about its accomplices. Let's have a look at 3 techniques you can start applying today to improve your positive intelligence. And they are: weaken your saboteurs, strengthen your sage voice, and strengthen your positive intelligence brain. Let's look at the first one. And by the way, this is my favorite comic. If you haven't met Heart and Brain, I highly recommend this series. I love them. Right. A thought is not a fact. No matter how many times you think it or how many other people express it to you, a thought doesn't become your reality unless you allow it to. So ask yourself how this self-limiting belief or thought is empowering you. Or is it keeping you stuck? Or is it fundamentally wrong? Or are you thinking in extremes? What are some extreme thoughts that we can have that are self-limiting? Like, I must. What are some thoughts that your inner critic tells you or its accomplices? Do you want me to start you off? I have to have a score of 100% in positive intelligence to hold a workshop on it. Yep. So what are some of your self-limiting beliefs? Do you want to share? Are you sharing in the chat and I'm not seeing it?
Yes, so we have a couple of answers. So somebody wrote, I should do more. And another participant said that I need to try harder. So these are the 2 that I can see. Anyone else willing to share? Oh, you always make the very same mistake. You never learn, Maria said.
Why aren't you learning? Come on.
No.
So what can we tell that voice that tells us these things? How can we change it into a more empathetic and kind statement to ourselves? Let's take the last one. I must do more, or you're making the same mistake again.
My scholar wrote, I should move forward if I'm not 100% sure of the way and the solution. So that's another answer that we received.
Right. At least I'm trying. I'm learning as I go. I'm growing with each mistake. Thank you for sharing. And now that you've challenged that belief, you can break the negative cycle and strengthen your voice of reason, that inner sage, that kinder voice. So this is me after each workshop. Oh my God, this workshop is going to be a disaster. Phew, I finished it and it wasn't that bad. And then the next workshop comes and it's over and over. Gotta shut that inner critic down. So strengthen your sage. How do we do that? Here are some ways. I've named 4, but there are more that you can strengthen your inner sage or voice of reason. So these are 4 games you can play. I'll tell you about the first one, the fascinated anthropologist. It means that when you play the role of fascinated anthropologist, you're becoming a keen observer and discoverer of what is happening without trying to judge or change or control the situation. So you're gathering facts. Another game you can play is yes and. You follow every new idea you have by saying, yes, what I love about that idea is, and with this approach, every idea is appreciated rather than judged before the next one is generated in reaction to it. The third game you can play is flash forward. When you're faced with a decision or a fork in the road, imagine yourself at the end of your life looking back at the choices you are now facing. And from that vantage point, what would you wish you had chosen at this juncture? So envisage yourself in the future, looking back. What choice would I have wished I had made? The last one is preempt the saboteurs and reframe. So you anticipate the thoughts they would be whispering or screaming in your ears in the middle of the action, and what lies they would be using to justify those thoughts, and then you would reframe to what your voice of reason would tell you to do. Are there any questions at this point?
Yeah, hi. I have a question.
Mhm.
I mean, this might sound a little funny, but all the kind of inner voices or whatever we feel, and when we implement those things at the work level, in our professional life, everything seems fine, you know. Then I'm a fierce lion, I think lioness rather than a dove. But when it comes to the personal relationship, especially with the boyfriends, every formula, everything fails. When I try them, they try to push me. When they when I want to run back, they want to come back. You know, this is a kind of this thing. So why the same feelings which we have with the work versus personal things, those parameters, the situations are same, but they don't work. I mean, if I want to implement, suppose it's a kind feeling, or suppose, okay, let me give it a one try more, then that again, that gesture of kindness or that one time more always gives me a failure, at least.
Mhm.
Or maybe I define it, no, it is a failure again and again. So my question is, same formula what we make or what we used to implement gives us success in work, they doesn't give us success in our personal things.
Okay, I understand you very well. So you keep trying to do something and it's not working, or the same thing in the personal setting doesn't work in the professional setting and vice versa. So what I would suggest, and that's coming up a little bit in a couple of slides, is that you focus on your values, what is important to you, what are you learning from the past experiences, and how can you learn from the past to apply a new perspective to a situation in the future. It's called the 3 gifts, and I'm going to explain it in a minute. But perhaps with that new tool, you can try and apply that to your situation perspective. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. That's really useful for others too. So this exercise is called the 3 gifts. And the 3 gifts technique is a concept that was also introduced by Shehzad Chamin in his book on positive intelligence. And it's designed to support shifting to and strengthening the sage perspective, which I just outlined. And that's your inner voice of reason. If you're having difficulty in finding any positive side to a particular situation, you can begin by thinking of at least 3 ways a problem can be turned into a gift or opportunity at some point in the future. So it doesn't have to be immediately, but at some point in the future. And the 3 gifts technique empowers us on 3 different levels. And these are knowledge, power, and inspiration. Knowledge, the first point of reflection, is what we have learned from the bad situation. It brings an awareness of what activates these thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, and perhaps some understanding of how they were acquired through the past experiences and mistakes. So you learn new ways of handling yourself better. The second one is power. And this point of reflection is an appreciation of our resilience and strength. The challenging events provide an opportunity to practice and refine our responses. And one way to do this is by considering where to focus our energies. And then there's inspiration. And that's how you will move forward. You will likely come up with a creative response that wouldn't have occurred without experiencing this specific challenging circumstance. And this innovation leads to an inspired action. So with this in mind, these 3 gifts that you can give to yourself, who would like to volunteer a problem that we can help you solve today? So you will not only get 3 new perspectives, you might get, how many are we? 38 solutions to one problem. Shall we try this together? I am going to stop sharing. And I really want us to try the 3 gifts together, because it's a really powerful tool that you can do on your own. Farida, was your hand up or?
Yeah, it was up. Yeah, I was going to say sometimes something like that's happened to me before, and I typically get angry, but then just saying thank you to them makes you feel like you're ahead of the situation. So I know you get very angry, but the moment you say thank you to them, and then so I would say thank you. I actually saw that mango was written. If you get, I was just saying it looked like, I always like to clarify, even though it still doesn't make that much of a sense. But saying thank you to the person makes you just feel like you're a bit ahead of the game, if that makes sense. So yeah, maybe Catherine could try that.
No, thank you. That's a very good tip. Or what
That's a great point.
usually do, but didn't do in this case, and obviously it's still on my mind, is I should have apologized to her next time.
And I think just show gratitude it's a really good approach. Showing gratitude changes those neurons in our brain from negative to positive immediately.
And we had another good answer before we move forward from Sophia Hafner, who said that it's about recognizing that we made a mistake and learning next time not to repeat it. So maybe not applying immediately, but for the next occasion or circumstance.
Yeah. Great point. There's a story that I wanted to read out to you, but I think I will leave it for now and come back to it if we have time, because I'm mindful of the time. And I really want to get to the exercises that you can do. So how do we strengthen our positive intelligence in our brains? So just like we do exercises for our physical fitness, we need to do these exercises for our mental fitness. And the way we do that is you need to do positive intelligence reps. You do a PQ rep by shifting your focus to your body and any of your 5 senses for 10 seconds. And this 5 senses exercise is one way to get into a more relaxed, mindful state wherever you are, as soon as you catch your inner critic popping up. So that's one indication, okay, I need to do a rep. And you have to do 100 reps every day for 21 days for a sustainable transformation. And then you can try that assessment again, and you will notice that that percentage will have gone up. So you want to shift as much of your attention as you can onto your body and any of your 5 senses for at least 10 seconds, 100 times a day. And 10 seconds is the equivalent of about 3 breaths. And a great time to practice your PQ reps is whenever you catch yourself in a negative thinking pattern. So let's say you're driving to work and you think this meeting is going to go really badly and then I'll be in trouble. So that's when you recognize that's your judge talking, the inner critic, right? You label it, you think to yourself, there goes the judge. And then when you catch your judge, that's a reminder that you need to get in a few reps. Then you shift your attention to feeling a physical sensation for 10 seconds. You could try feeling the weight of your body in the driver's seat for several breaths. You can also try this one that I'm going to show you now. Just take your 2 fingers, the thumb and the index finger, and now rub them very carefully and really try and feel the fingertips for 10 seconds, 3 breaths. So Catherine, next time somebody makes you mad and you want to respond, that is the clue to do that fingertip thing. And that silences one side of your brain and it activates the other side, which is the positive side of your brain, where your voice of reason lives.
I have a question then.
Mm-hmm.
Are you suggesting that, I mean, I'm hoping, do you think that these exercises will shrink our inner critics so they don't roar so quickly over time?
You're absolutely right. That's what it does.
Okay.
So as soon as your inner critic comes up, you identify it. Oh, there you are. You immediately do an exercise that brings your conscious mindfulness to one of your sensations, breathing, taste, sight, and that will activate the other side of your brain, and it will allow you to calm down enough to strengthen the voice of reason. And if you do this 100 times a day, over 21 days, you will strengthen your positive intelligence sustainably.
That is good news.
It is. It's been scientifically proven. I have not proven it on myself yet because I still haven't done the 21 days. I'm on day 5, but it's working. So what I want you to take away from today is be kind to yourself. Everyone can learn to strengthen their voice of reason muscles with a little practice, and you can help strengthen the voice of reason of your loved ones. And what would life be like if you fully reclaimed your beautiful true selves? What would be the gift of that to you, to your loved ones, to your colleagues, to the world? What would be possible then? And you are all special and unique and magnificent beings, and it's time you remembered that. Thank you. That was my workshop. I'm open to questions.
Thank you very much, Lydia. Please don't be shy. Feel free to ask questions. I will call out the people who raise their hands. I saw Hannah's hand go up first. So Hannah, please unmute yourself.
Sorry, I just intended to clap. Virtually.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So Nora, are you also clapping or are you raising a hand?
Clapping.
Okay.
It's okay. Can we have a round of claps, please, so that I see a sea of claps? Thank you. Oh, you shouldn't have. Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic.
So what will you start doing from now on? Let me hear it in the chat. What's one step you're going to take, even if it's just drawing your inner critic? Tell me one thing you're going to do.
Deepti has her hand up, I also think. So
Dinner. Thank you, Marisol.
yes, Deepti, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to try this mindfulness exercises. I think this will really help to bring the attention back to the present moment. But then there was one thing written like there will be only Lydia for one question. Not everyone.
Oh, just for me? Okay, I will stay
Yeah.
a little bit longer and you can ask me then.
Sure.
Okay, so people said dinner, as Lydia already mentioned, and then exercise the 5 senses. People agreed with that.
Great.
Farida has question.
Mhm.
Okay, maybe not a question per se, but then obviously I try the exercises and I'm very positive that that worked. But a lot of times it's very hard for me to actually differentiate if the thinking is a saboteur or not. Sometimes I think it's just trying to make me accountable. So when I'm doing something and then it's actually telling me that I can do a lot better if I do put in a little more effort. Sometimes I'm able to put in a bit of effort and I do a lot better. And a lot of times I just can't be bothered and I just do it however I'm able to. And it pops up almost every time when I'm trying to get project done or anything. And yeah, it's just hard to differentiate whether it's a saboteur or not. Really.
I'm so glad you asked that. That's such a great question. So how do I know if it's my inner critic or my voice of reason? And then I'll direct you back to the point about, is this thought serving me in a positive way or in a negative way? So if that voice is telling you this workshop isn't good enough, it's not perfect, you're doing a shit job, they're all going to laugh at you. That was my voice, by the way, in case it wasn't clear. Then that is not the voice of reason. But what it is telling you is maybe I need to prepare a little bit more so that I'm more comfortable and less scared. So as soon as a negative thought, you can imagine it as someone pounding you on the head or screaming at you. You wouldn't tell that to a friend, right? So if you're having dinner with a friend, let's call her Sally, and you tell her the things that your negative thoughts are telling her, would she still be a friend?
Maybe not.
So when those thoughts are not serving you positively, then you know it's your inner critic.
Thank you very much.
So I think we have, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if we have any more questions. Oh, Maria raised her hand.
Yeah, thank you. I want to be a little bit the devil's advocate here. No, for the
Kick
challenge.
her out. Maya, kick her out.
It's my inner critic. No, I was just wondering if the voice of reason is the right way to put it, because why only reason? Why? Because we go back to the rationality discourse, no? What about thinking also if it's the voice of affect or of care? Like, for instance, in the case of Catherine, that she very nicely explained to us these angry feelings about this poor old lady, or maybe not poor old lady, maybe also judgmental lady. I don't know what the intention was there exactly. But what if she thought, maybe she wants to have a conversation because she hasn't talked to anyone today and she was just trying her luck with her. Like, it's not exactly, I think, only the voice of reason that we need to attend to or to get advice from, but perhaps also a more caring voice, a more like
Voice of compassion, maybe.
compassion, empathy. I don't know how to call it, but maybe
That's a
reason
great
is
point.
not the only way. Thank you.
Yep, that's a great point. And what you're saying is just like the judge has different names, so does the voice of reason, or the inner coach, it's sometimes called, or the sage voice. And the sage voice, as you correctly identified, has 5 different ways of approaching a situation. And one of them is empathy and compassion. The second one is curiosity. The third one is exploring it. The fourth one is with creativity, finding new ways to approach the situation. And that one leads to the 3 gifts. So you're absolutely correct. It's not always called the voice of reason. It has different names, but it basically has the same end result, which is making you feel good and making others around you feel it too. So now that you know about your inner critics, whenever you're talking to someone, you can easily identify theirs. You will know a perfectionist when you see one. Trust me. Takes one to know one. And when you do, perhaps you can help them hear their voice of kindness, if you want to not use voice of reason, voice of kindness.